Hey guys, welcome to the videos where I take two concepts within domestic discipline, I compare and contrast them to each other, talk about what I would rather experience or have be part of my relationship. I talk through my reasonings why, and I invite you in the comments to let me know which would you choose and give me your reasons why. I really do like reading those. Also, like this video if you like it, subscribe if you're not already. All those things really do help us out. And if you want to help support us continuing to do what we do here, the best place to do that is over on Patreon. So a link to our Patreon is down below. So on this video, I want to compare and contrast the concept of grounding versus spanking. Would I rather be grounded, or would I rather just have a spanking and be able to move on? I would definitely prefer just to take a spanking and move on. And there's a few reasons for that. Grounding in our relationship has never been a standalone consequence. There are certain privileges that Coda will limit or revoke if he wants to extend my punishment beyond just a spanking in order to reinforce the discipline for more serious infractions. And so that could look like, you know, an earlier bedtime, limited phone use, limited social media use, and also not being able to go out and get coffee when I want to, things like that, where there are certain privileges that he does have the ability to limit or revoke in order to kind of reinforce discipline. But that is not something that he would do as a standalone consequence, and it's not something that he would want to have to extend over the period of days and days and days. I think the longest he has ever limited any of my access to the privileges that I have in my relationship is probably 3 days. That was kind of an extenuating circumstance, and there were reasons behind that, but that was part of a bigger punishment that included a spanking. So I would definitely prefer to have a spanking and move on, mostly because when I have the spanking, it creates resolution, it creates resolve, it creates connection within my relationship again. It gives Coda the resolve that he needs to know that the situation has been dealt with, and then we can both move forward with the resolve and with the just the commitment to doing better in the future. So I can commit to not making that mistake again. Coda can commit to being more mindful to hold strict accountability in that area, because anytime that there's a punishment, he is very mindful to kind of watch my behavior, make sure that I'm not doing the same thing again immediately. So he becomes very, very aware. And so that is kind of the commitment that he makes through that process. I commit to not making that mistake again, and we can both move forward kind of with this clean slate. And that's really what spanking does, is that it creates a way for us to work through problems very quickly, to regain connection, regain communication, and resolve to doing better in our relationship, doing better for ourselves, and doing better for each other. And so I just don't see how grounding would have the same effect in my relationship. Of course, this is super nuanced. You have to decide what grounding would even look like in your relationship, and would that be beneficial to the goals and to the dynamic that you're creating. For us, it just wouldn't. It's not something that is necessarily feasible. It's not something that would create the same level of connection to the misbehavior. It's not something that would kind of make sense in our relationship as a standalone consequence. And it definitely is something that Coda and I both agree that spanking makes more sense in order have that resolution and be able to move forward. And so that's really what it comes down to for me, is what is going to get me to my goals, what is going to create change, what is going to create resolution, what is going to create connection, what is going to facilitate communication. And the answer is the same for all of those for us, and that is just having to go through the process of receiving spanking as a punishment. That is what creates all of those things for us. And when we can have that connection, when we can have that communication, that's when our relationship gets better. And being able to deal with these things quickly is just such a benefit of domestic discipline, that we are able to work through these issues quickly, that we are able to work through these things almost immediately and not have to kind of be detoured from our goals. We just continue on the path towards our goals, and punishments become just slight little hiccups, little road bumps, but they don't become detrimental to our growth. And so that is why spanking makes sense for us. That's why I would rather just take a spanking and move on. So let me know what you think down below. Let me know what you would prefer, and we will talk to you next time.